Thank you for coming in to see us.
Thank you for asking me.
The hope is that you basically talk to us a little bit, not just about the work that you're doing now, but also a little bit about yourself. So can I start by asking you who you are? Please introduce yourself.
I'm Babatunde Oshotimai, Executive Director of the United Nations Population Fund in New York.
And how long have you been in that role?
This is my 4th year.
And how long is each term?
It's about 4 years, so
Okay.
I'm towards the end of my first term.
Every time we write about population, you get really vitriolic views about, oh, you know, those Africans, there are too many of them, so that's why kids are not in school, or, you know, that's why young people don't have jobs, the correlation between unemployment and population. When you talk about condoms or vaccines, somehow population brings out the most extreme of viewpoints. And you are the organization with population in your name. And I wondered if you had seen, and how are you countering some of this extremism? How are you dealing with some of these crises?
The population in our name is the most important word because it deals with young people, and I've been talking about adults and girls. It also deals with the older generation of people. So we look at population dynamics as, for us, as potential for growth of any economy. It has nothing to do with what people think that population pressure is going to actually take the world to a brink, and the whole place is just going to go up in the smoke.
Do you not see that as
No, I don't see that, because 30 years ago or more, the actual thing that was said when we were approaching probably 3.4 billion, 3.5 or 4 billion population. The story there was that there was a population bomb. This was going to go, but it hasn't happened.
But you've just touched on the next thing, which I think is important for us to talk about, which is, given all the places you are and all what you're doing well, what would you, as the ED, the Executive Director of UNFPA, say that you're not doing so well? What do your people need to do differently? How can you adapt to the world?
I think that we need to basically continue to build a knowledge base so that our response to the needs of people will be a little faster.
So what does that mean by building your knowledge base?
Let me give you an example. And I'll use the humanitarian as an example. You just touched on an expanding area of humanitarian issues. If you look at what is happening in the Middle East today, we have in Syria, we have in Gaza, we have in Iraq, and Lebanon a little bit, you know. So in a sense, we are struggling to make sure that we're pre-positioned and we're able to actually just build the surge capacity to do what we have to do. Now, so building knowledge base means that we can actually anticipate some of these things. And you can anticipate it. What is happening with ISIL in northern Iraq. Didn't just happen. It started in Syria, and if we actually step back a year ago to ask ourselves, so what would be our position next year, and what should we be doing to make sure that nobody suffers and that we can provide services, we would actually have been pre-positioned to do things differently from what we did. So that's, for me, that's one. The second, of course, is that we need to move aggressively to address population dynamics issues. Africa today has 70% of its population less than the age of 30, 35. What are we doing as an organization to engage with African leaders and with the African Union at an intellectual basis to actually persuade them that the best investment they could make in their countries and on the continent, especially as they have monies now coming out of extractive industry, is to build the capacity of young people to be innovators and creators and
Do you
give.
think they need persuading?
I think they do. The reason being that I've been a minister before and I see the kind of resources we allocate to education. You know, where you spend a penny, you get a penny's worth of product. Where you spend a pound, it's a different product.
And how does the African Union, as a unit, get all of the leaders that it has today to adopt the sort of thinking you're championing?
I just believe that we don't need all of them. We need a critical mass of them to be able to persuade Africa of a Marshall Plan.
What does that critical mass look like?
It doesn't have to be more than 5.
Okay.
To actually say, you know what, this is where it's going to go. And I think you need to think about it and begin to invest.
What do you think will be the cost of not doing some of this?
It's going to be disastrous because we're going to have disparate growth and it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, if, for an example, a country that I know very well and you know very well, you know, if we have the extractive industry we have, and we have great thinkers in Nigeria, which we do have, and we don't make it come together to make sure that what we get out of extractive industry is re-injected into human development and human capital development, we're not going to go anywhere. And so there is a sense of urgency in there. And we have 170 million of us. That's huge. And that's something that we need to immediately begin to do fairly quickly.
Do you think the boat is about to set sail? Do you think we're about to, the window of opportunity will close?
I don't think so. I think that the window of opportunity is still there, narrow, maybe. But I think if we actually do, if a little more than we're doing now, we will begin to see it. The part about it is, what is happening that I see in Nigeria, for instance, is that the individual is taking governance into his own hands and is making life happen for himself. So in a sense, all you need is to galvanize that energy and just create an opportunity for people to be able to see, oh, okay, so I don't have to worry about this. I can just focus on, you know, my business or what I really want, and it will grow. So that's what really, that's the message you want to pass.